Welcome back, friends, to Hearts and Wisdom Creators, LLC. Tonight's story continues the mysterious journey of Minato, a young boy who lives near a quiet forest of Mount Fuji in Japan, which is filled with secrets and wonders. After hearing a strange voice in the night, Minato makes a choice that brings unexpected consequences, and something unseen begins to follow him home. But with courage, love, and guidance from his grandparents, Minato learns an important lesson about listening, staying safe, and facing fear with wisdom. So get cozy, take a deep breath, and join us as Minato discovers that even the darkest moments, he is never alone. Something in the room tugged at Minato. Not a sound, not a voice, but a feeling, a pull. His eyes drifted to the wooden shelves against the wall, cluttered with his uncle's belongings. Old paintbrushes, tins of ink, a cracked ceramic cup, bundled sketches tied with faded string. He stepped toward the shelves. "Minato?" Grandma asked softly. I just feel like something's here." Grandpa didn't stop him. "Go ahead, Minato. Trust your instincts." Minato scanned the shelves more closely. There was a wooden box tucked behind a stack of canvases. He pulled it forward. Dust puffed off of it. The lid was stiff, but eventually slid open with a faint click. Inside were his uncle's personal belongings. A broken watch, a train pass from 1968, a small rosary, a folded envelope tied with a string, and a tiny brass key. Minato picked up the key. It was cold, colder than the rest of the items in the box. "Oh, what's that?" Grandpa asked, stepping forward. "A key? But to what?" Grandma gently lifted the envelope. The old paper crackled as she untied the string and unfolded it. Inside was a message written by his uncle. "If you're reading this, then it has returned. There's still one thing I could not face, one thing hidden. If the key is found, the room will show you the way." Minato felt a jolt of recognition. The room? Grandpa looked around, puzzled. Show the way? How? Minato looked at the wall behind the shelves. It felt strange, wrong, too shallow, the spacing uneven. He knocked on the wood and on the back panel. A faint hollow thunk answered. "There," he whispered. Grandpa helped him clear the items off the shelf. Together they pushed. It didn't move at first, but with a groan, the back panel slid an inch. Grandma gasped. "A hidden wall." Minato inserted the brass key into the barely visible keyhole at the lower edge. It fit perfectly. He turned it. Click! The panel slid open fully. Behind it was a narrow compartment, just wide enough for a book, and inside sat a journal, far older and more worn than the others they had found. The journal's binding was cracked, the edges singed slightly. There was a faint scent of pine and smoke drifting out. Grandpa lifted it gently. This must be his first journal, the one he started before everything happened. But Minato was staring at something else. Inside the compartment, carved into the wood itself, was a single phrase. It came from the forest. "It follows the grieving." All of a sudden, the attic seemed to grow colder again. The shadows deepened, and for a moment, just a moment, Minato swore he heard the distant echo of his mother's voice calling his name from somewhere deep inside the house. The first chilling page. Grandpa set the brittle journal gently on the attic work table, brushing the dust from its cover. It looked ancient. The leather was cracked, the corners torn, as if it survived heat, or something worse. Minato felt his heartbeat in his fingertips as he reached out. "Are you okay, Minato?" Grandma asked softly. He nodded. Grandpa opened the journal carefully. The first page was dated November 12th, 1965, nearly 20 years before Minato was born. The ink had faded, but the handwriting was still sharp, almost frantic in places. Minato leaned in and began to read aloud. Uncle's journal, entry 1. I hear it again tonight. The knocking above the ceiling, the scraping near the roofline. They think it's the wind, but it calls my name when it thinks no one else is listening. Grandma's eyes darted up toward the rafters as if expecting movement. Minato continued. Father told me not to go outside after dark. He said the forest is thin this year. I don't know what that means, but I believe him. Grandpa exhaled shakily and said, the forest being thin, that means the boundary between the living and the dead was weak that winter. Minato swallowed and kept reading. I found something buried near the cedar trees today. A metal toy soldier, bent, old, wrongly warm to the touch. When I picked it up, the wind stopped. Everything stopped. Even the birds chirping stopped. Grandma clasped her hands over her mouth. Minato's voice tightened. Oh, I should have left it there. I know that now. Minato turned the page. The next lines were scratched, shaky, as if in fear. Something followed me home. It stands outside my window at night. At first it only watched. Now it whispers. It whispers in his voice. Minato froze. His voice, he whispered. Grandpa's face looked carved from stone. Your uncle was hearing someone he knew, he said quietly. The entity was mimicking somebody. Minato continued reading. Last night it called my name. It sounded like Father, but Father was asleep in the next room. The thing by the forest is no longer hiding. Grandma shuddered. Minato turned to the last line of the entry. If you find this journal, it means it has come back. And if it has come back, it will look for the grieving one first. The room fell silent. Minato felt the words sink into him like cold water. The grieving one. His throat tightened. Grandpa placed a steady hand on the shoulder. It doesn't mean it has to be you, Minato. But the entity, it does prey on sorrow, on loss, and on children who are hurting, but it doesn't have to be you. Grandma pulled him into a gentle embrace. You're not alone, dear. Not anymore. But Minato wasn't comforted, because as he glanced toward the attic window, he swore, just for a second, that the trees at the edge of the forest line shifted in the windless night. as though something was watching the house, watching him. The second, even more disturbing journal entry. Grandpa hesitated as he watched Minato lift the corner of the stiff, yellowed page. Minato, he warned softly, some things in here may be kind of difficult. But I need to know, Minato whispered. Grandma took his hand and squeezed it for courage. Minato turned the page. The second entry was dated November 21st, 1965, only 9 days after the first entry. But the handwriting had changed. What had once been neat now shook violently across the page. Minato began to read. Uncle's Journal, Entry 2. It came into the house tonight. Not fully, not in shape, more like a shadow that won't stay still. Grandma's breath caught. Minato continued. Mother didn't see it. The shadows only move for me now. They stretch across the floor like fingers. They curl toward my feet when I try to sleep. A chill crept through the attic. Minato pulled the blankets around his shoulders. It waits at my door at 3:03 every night, the same time the forest calls. Minato's heart lurched. 3:03 a.m.? Just like the voice that called him. Grandpa and Grandma exchanged a knowing, fearful glance. Minato kept reading. I tried to bury the toy soldier again today, but the ground rejected it. The soil trembled when I placed it inside. Something hissed beneath the earth, like breathing, like warnings. Minato's hand trembled. Grandpa muttered, Your uncle knew the object was dangerous back then. Minato took a slow breath and continued. When I came home, the soldier was waiting on my bed, standing upright. Grandma gasped. Minato turned the page. A dark smudged fingerprint stained the corner. His uncle's? Or something else's? Tonight, it took a shape. Not a clear one, just an outline in the doorway. Tall, too tall. Its head touched the frame. It whispered like many voices trying to speak at once. Minato swallowed, throat tight. It said it was here for one who mourns. It said grief opens doors. I think it wants to use me to get inside. Grandpa let out a shaky exhale. Your uncle was being targeted exactly the way the entity is trying to target you. Minato's chest tightened, but he read on. The soldier glows sometimes when the thing is near. A faint blue light, weak, like it's losing strength. I think it was meant to protect us, but something is draining it. Ink. Then came the last paragraph, written in fast, desperate strokes. If anyone finds this, bury the soldier far from this house, far from children, far from the grieving. Do not let the forest have another hurting soul to call. Minato finished reading and slowly lowered the journal. The attic felt colder. Grandpa cleared his throat. This entity has been haunting our family for generations. Your uncle tried to stop it, but he didn't have enough help. Grandma wrapped her arms around Minato from behind. But you do. she said. Minato nodded, trying to steady his breathing. But as he looked down at the journal again, his eyes drifted to the last sentence scratched at the bottom. It will return for the next child who hears its call. And Minato, trembling, pale, and suddenly aware of the cold breath behind his neck, realized it had already begun. Another supernatural event in the house that night. The grandparents decided to keep the journals upstairs for now, tucked back inside the secret compartment. They didn't want Minato staring at them late into the night, feeding his fear. They escorted him downstairs, keeping close on either side of him, as though the shadows themselves might reach out. By the time Minato went to bed, the house was quiet again. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that felt watched. He slid under his blankets, clutching the Lord's Prayer in his hand. His grandmother cracked the door open and whispered, "Pray if anything frightens you, Minato. We're close." He nodded, though fear sat like a weight on his chest. The lights dimmed. The house settled. The wind outside rustled the trees. And then it happened. To find out what happens next to Minato, be sure to tune back in to Arts and Wisdom Creators for the next chapter in his mysterious journey. And don't forget, a fun-filled children's workbook inspired by our stories, packed with mazes, word searches, crossword puzzles, and more will be available soon on Amazon. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep your imagination shining.